Alrighty, this is the sixth video in the TrackDrive Quick Start video series, but a lot of people are using ViciDial, Convoso, any other dialer in the world to dial out because they're obviously more cheap than TrackDrive is, and they're just trying to power dial through their leads. So they don't use TrackDrive's lead to call automation, but they really like TrackDrive's agent functionality. Well, we've handled that through something we call external agent. This video is going to talk about external agents that are actually agents sending calls inbound to TrackDrive. I'll make another video next that is about external agents being quote unquote buyers that intercept the calls and QC them. And when they're done, they can send that call back to us to say, continue routing it. I verified it, they're good to go. Now, that outbound external agent buyer record could also be a bot that is sending us back the call via API endpoints instead of key presses, because obviously the robot can't press keys, but they can simulate their pressing keys by our API endpoints. But this video is about inbound calls and people controlling the call, agents controlling the call from ViciDial. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one of these numbers I gave to John Doe, this toll-free number here, and all I'm going to do is go ahead and say that this call is forwarding from an external agent, which means that when the agent could be left alone in a conference, if the buyer hung up with now the agent and the consumer are on the inbound line. When I say agent, I mean both those people coming from ViciDial are one leg of the call, and the second leg of the call is us calling buyers. If a buyer hung up on you or rang busy or whatever after they picked up, you are able to stay on the call as an external agent and tell us to keep routing the call. So what I'm going to do on this one is I don't have any key press already set up. Once I do, if I want to reuse a key press, I can. But I'm just going to say I have a new key press, and I say external inbound agents. So I don't want them to be able to press all the buttons that an external agent on the buyer side would do, where they would say DNC this call, or I need a human. They have more buttons they want to press, continue routing the call, where coming inbound from a call center, more than likely all they're telling us to do is try a new buyer. So this is inbound agents key presses. Okay, so I'm going to create the group. Now on this one, the only one I'm going to do is, and I like to use star, but you can use whatever key press you want. I'm going to say if the star is pressed, oops, if I could type, sorry about that. I still can't type. I'm minting on today. All right, so if the star is pressed by the external agent, keep routing the call, right? So the next step is I tell it what I'm going to do. And in this situation, I'm not doing anything fancy. Now, external agents on the other side will show that elsewhere. We're going to pick something else. But for the agents coming in from, let's say, ViciDial, all I'm going to do is tell it to keep routing the call. So I have to close that, update that. So now this number is able to keep an agent alone in a conference, agent and the consumer on their leg alone in the conference, and if they heard a voicemail or a hold queue at the buyer, they could just press star. We'll hang up on that buyer, try the next one in line. So the new concept we have with people using ViciDial to power dial is they're going to just get a warm body on the line. They're going to press web form 1 or whatever and send TrackDrive the data. They're then going to route the call to us. The buyer records on TrackDrive are going to have webhooks. If that buyer wants the data that your ViciDial agent transferred to us, we'll be able to pass it along to buyers for you. So no longer is the agent on ViciDial trying to get the data to the buyer. We'll be doing that as you give the data to us, but you'll be able to control the call and tell it to try new buyers until it gets through all your buyers. Currently, when I'm making this video, it only does try your buyers once, so your agent could pull it back and send it back into TrackDrive and route through those buyers again. But eventually we're going to add another option here to try the buyers more than once, so we'll recycle them as many times as the agent wants to, so that if you only have two buyers, you can try both and go back to the first one, then to the second, etc., etc. But that is how I am able to tell the system, I don't want you to hang up with the agents left alone. We're going to let them keep controlling the call as if he was an agent on TrackDrive.